Welcome to the Torah Sweets podcast. This is episode 4. I'm Mendel Berlin, TorahSweets@gmail.com. This week's podcast is sponsored by the Asher family in honor of Mazel Day School, where I teach. So there are some jokes that are not funny, even the first time they are said. Other jokes are kind of funny the first time, but after that it kind of loses its flavor. And then there are jokes that are funny no matter how many times you tell them. This is one of those jokes, the third flavor, that are funny, I feel like, no matter how many times you say them. So basically there's this Jewish man and the Chinese man walking together. All of a sudden the Jewish man comes over to the Chinese man and punches him in the face. And the guy says, "What are you doing that for?" And he says, "That was for Pearl Harbor." And the guy looks at him, "What do you mean Pearl Harbor? I'm Chinese." So he says, the Jewish guy tells him, "Chinese, Japanese, what's the difference?" They keep walking a little further. All of a sudden the Chinese man takes his fist, boom, he punches the Jewish guy in the face. And he says, "What was that for?" He says, "That was for the Titanic." He says, "Titanic? That was an iceberg." He says, "Iceberg, Goldberg, what's the difference? It's all the same." Right? That joke I find to be funny every single time. And that is, why is it so funny? Because, we think about names, right? And we think names, okay, they don't make a difference. They do make a difference. The truth is that names make a big difference. In truth, not all the names are the same. No names are the same. The name is an essence of a person. It represents their identity, their vision, who they are supposed to be. We find that Avram Avinu, his name was changed. And anyone who calls Avram Avinu by his name, Avram, is actually committing an Aveira. You find Yitzchak kept his name his whole life. He never changed his name. And then you have Yaakov Avinu, who in this week's Parsha gets a second name. He doesn't really change his name. He gets an added name, Yisrael, after his wrestling match with the angel. So Aaron Lapiansky, in his new book called Golden Apples, explains a fascinating insight why those names were given specifically and why Avram had a name change, why Yitzchak never had a name change, and why Yaakov had a name added. That's a very important question that we want to examine today. The answer and the difference between Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov is that Avram lived a life before he was 70, a life of idol worshiping. And the Ramban explains this in the clearest terms. So therefore his name was not included. His original name was not included. Yitzchak, on the other hand, was an Oiled Tamima. He was perfect in his Avodas Hashem, and he was a continuation of Avram's righteousness. Yaakov was the first person in history who was able to include evil and turn it into good by showing that if not for the evil, then there would be no good. What does that mean? Rabbi Lopiansky explains as follows, that we know the idea of Yetzer Tov is considered to be good, and Yetzer Hara is considered to be Tov Me'od, very good. How is that possible? Because the Yetzer Hara really pushes us to excel. The struggles that we have push us to excel. Somebody who goes to the gym, and if they work out their muscles the right way, there has to be opposition. There has to be a strong force that's opposing the muscles. If it is, that's the only way a person can grow. If the person is not pumping weights the right way, he's lifting up very light weights, the muscles will never develop their potential, and they will never grow. And this is the idea of the Yetzer Hara. It exists only for the purpose to challenge us, to push us to our greatness. There are people who feel that they look at their younger years and they say to themselves, "I had so many struggles, I was just trying to be, get by, and I didn't really grow until I was much older." Or even now, there are certain struggles and obstacles. We look at ourselves and we say, if only I was not having trouble in this area, I would be so righteous, I would be so great, I would be achieving my potential. You got it all wrong. The point is that Yaakov Avinu teaches us that when he overcame the angel of Esav, when he overcame the Yetzer Hara, overcame the Satan, that's where he reached his greatness. That's where he made a name for himself. That's where he added a layer, a dimension to him that wasn't there until then. The reason we are successful is not despite of our struggles. It is because of our struggles. And this is an idea that we need to keep in mind on a day-to-day basis. So we love to hear your comments. We love to hear your feedback. Please send us feedback at torahsweets@gmail.com. We are also now on YouTube. We will be sharing that link. Please do share it with your friends if you like the podcast. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom.